Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Just Happy to Be Here. Episode 3, we're going to be talking about the different lenses we carry. And I may or may not have a super controversial opinion for this one, but Matthew McConaughey and I kind of listen. We were kind of fighting a little bit this week, or I thought we were. Okay, um, let me explain. So first, here's something I've learned. You can't compare trauma, only values. And that's why Matthew McConaughey and I can look at the same phrase, just happy to be here, and both be right, even though we mean completely different things when we say it. Matthew McConaughey was a guest on The Diary of a CEO, which is one of my new favorite podcasts to listen to. I've been actively trying to listen to things that are going to add value to my life. And so that means sitting in the car, I'm not listening to music. I'm really focusing on expanding my knowledge. And Diary of a CEO kind of like gives you an in to a lot of areas of your life that you, or a lot of areas that you don't necessarily see in your life on a day to day. So it offers a lot of really good perspective shifts. And so Matthew McConaughey was a guest on the show, and it's a long episode. It's over 2 hours long. And the reason being is because Matthew McConaughey is an amazing storyteller. Like, he is so good at keeping you engaged, like weaving the story and then giving you an unexpected ending to the story. So it was a short 2 hours. It did not feel long when I was listening to it. But as I was listening to it, about halfway through, um, he mentioned just happy to be here. And I was like, whoa, like, what are the odds that Matthew McConaughey and I have this same like phrase that we say in life? And his take on it took me back. I was like, what? He saw just happy to be here as a negative, which flabbergasted, right? Like, just, huh? But do you ever notice the same words can mean completely different things depending on who's saying them and who's hearing them? And this is a prime example. Like, Matthew McConaughey has this take where he says being just happy to be here can make you passive and takes away from you living in the moment. Like, you're coasting, settling, not really plugged in. And at first, I was like, what? And then I realized from his perspective, he is not wrong. He's not wrong. But from my perspective, a cancer survivor, it couldn't be more opposite of a take on just happy to be here. Because when you've lived through something that tries to take you out, just happy to be here is not passive. It's intentional, it's active. It is a declaration that I fought for this moment, and I don't take a single second of this for granted. It's the same phrase, different history behind it, which means there's a different heartbeat underneath it. And here's the thing that I have learned: trauma is a universal experience. Everybody goes through something that's going to break them open in their own way at some point. But the impact of that trauma, that's personal, and that's shaped by the lens that you carry. So experience becomes the lens, trauma becomes the lens, and life shapes the scope that you see everything through. I cannot compare my experiences to someone else's because they don't have my story and I don't have theirs. And that's the thing. For me, cancer and going through a really intense breakup immediately after finishing treatment is the most trauma I have experienced in my life. And there was a moment where I was sitting back and I'm like, this is not fair. Other people aren't experiencing something as hard as I am. But then I had to like reshift and reframe my viewpoint. It's not about comparing traumas because what someone else has been through is their cancer. Like it is the most extreme trauma that they have experienced. So all of their views are shaped through that lens. So we cannot compare our experiences to someone else's because they don't have my story and I don't have theirs. We are not looking through the same glass. But what is worth comparing, what actually matters are the values, right? Your core values. Where do the values lie in what we're saying? In the beliefs behind our words, in the decisions we make after the trauma, in the way we choose to show up. Because two people can use the exact same sentence and mean two entirely different things. But if the values underneath align, presence, purpose, gratitude, growth, and taking ownership of what your present moment is, then we're not actually in conflict. We're just coming from different directions. And honestly, that's the benchmark, not who's right or whose pain was worse or who deserves more space. It's what values does this perspective come from? Do they align with mine? And do they move me forward? So, Matthew, first name basis, Mr. McConaughey, his take was that if you are just happy to be here, you are living passively in that moment. You are showing up just happy to be here. He puts a really like heavy emphasis on that word just. And he says that you need to show up into a space and take ownership of that room. And you can't do that if you're walking into a space being like, whoa, I'm just happy to be here. I'm so impressed that I'm here. I hold reverence to everybody else that's around me. And that idea is coming from this value of wanting to take ownership, live in the present moment, and work, like put work in. And when I sat back and kind of like thought through this, I saw that the values behind his viewpoint were aligning with mine. And the values that he had behind that viewpoint were moving us forward in the same direction. So, just because he had a different view of that phrase, right, doesn't mean that we weren't aligned in our thinking. And that's tough. That's so hard because that is perspective taking and that takes practice. It is not easy. It also takes you to really know and understand what your values are. And that also is sometimes really hard for people to do because at the end of the day, you have to have a point of view. You have to have a perspective. You have to have a belief that keeps you growing and evolving even through trauma. And that was the point of his statement. You have got to keep pushing and you have to know that you're showing up in the space because you deserve to be there. And that's exactly what Just Happy to Be Here is for me. It's not being passive, it's definitely not settling, but a values driven way of living that stays present, stays grateful, stays intentional, and takes ownership of your life. Because I know how close I came to not being here at all. So I can find gratitude in the just, but I can also find drive and purpose. Same phrase, different lens, shared values, and that's where connection actually happens. So, my name is Samantha. If this resonated with you, please subscribe, and I will forever and ever just be happy to be here because I am grateful and I am living my life with solid intentions, just like Matthew McConaughey.